Alright guys, in the shop today is a snowblower. It's a 2-cycle. It is a MTD. Doesn't run. I got it for free, so let's see what we can do to get it running. The first thing I want to check out is this blade engagement lever is seized up. And that cable runs down to here, so I want to make sure that we can get that freed up so if we do get it running, it doesn't make the blades take off and go right away. So the cover's off, and you can see where the cable comes from the handle, runs down the machine and comes up here. And let's see if we can pull this out a little bit. Yep, that's pretty seized. I'm wondering if we can just unhook this for now. Or you know what? Let's just take the belt off and let's make sure we can get it to run before we try to chase this. Because if it doesn't run, it's not worth fixing. So this is the output shaft on the motor. Yeah, and I can feel it. See how it spins freely and then it gets tough? That means that motor is not shot. There is compression there, so that's a good sign. So now we get into the 4 things you need for an engine to run: spark, fuel, air, and compression. Which, turning this pulley here, the output shaft of the engine, I know that compression is probably not the issue. The easiest one to go for first is spark. Because when you look at safeties on these machines, usually all the safeties will cut out the spark. So, especially when dealing with a machine you're not familiar with, always go for the spark first. Because there's either a seat safety or a key safety or a whatever safety, it's going to shut off the spark. And that will guide you in that direction to fix those issues first so you can get the engine to run. So let's pull out the spark plug, pull it over and see if we can get a spark. Looks like it's in good shape. Let's see if we can get a spark out of that. I don't know if you can see that, but we are getting spark. Something interesting. Say the key is in the off position, then we have a spark. Move the key into the other position, and we still have a spark. So let's just leave it alone for now. What I want to do is dump some gas into this cylinder hole, put this back together and see if we can get it to turn over and run. And this is 2 cycles, so it does take 50-to-1 mix, I believe is what it said on the gas cap. So let's squirt some down in there and see if we can get it to run. Alright. Let's dribble some. Dribble some 2-cycle in there. 2-cycle gas, that is. think I got some in there. Finger tight's just fine. She runs. Okay. So we'll know that it turns over now. And there's no, you can see down in there, there's no gas in there. So before we go off and put gas in it, which is the fuel line out the bottom of the tank, and this is the carburetor. Before we do that, let's take this carburetor bowl off, make sure there's no junk in the bottom. Then we'll put some gas in there and we'll see if we can turn over and make it run. So that looks really thick. I don't know if you can see it traveling around in there. Looks really thick to be 50-to-1 mix. It's almost like it's all oil, no gas. So I was just thinking maybe someone put oil in the bottom of this for storage purposes. That's how they do long-term storage, so that the gas in here doesn't gunk up, but it is, and once you get that out of there, it's quite clean. I don't think this stuff is thick enough to clog up any ports. I think there's a port there. So, hey buddy. Yeah, fucking got it.
I don't know. If you know who that is, you don't know who you're happy about doing stuff.
Alright. We got some gas in it now. Let's see if it turns over. Yeah, I can hear air. That primer tube's probably shot.
Why did you want to do that?
Well, the key doesn't turn it off, so that's the issue we gotta look into, but when in doubt, pull the spark plug off carefully. That'll kill it. But hey, we know it runs good. Let's find out why that key's not shutting off. Okay, well, going back to the key switch here. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the back end of the key switch. You can see one wire coming off of it, and then the other side looks like that's where the wire should go on to ground it. So let's get this thing a little naked, take some of the panels off of it, and see if we can trace that wire at all. That's not going to Right. Should. Get it around the other side. Okay, so let me explain to you my thought process so far. So, right now, no matter what position the key switch is in, there's still spark to the engine letting it run. So how that whole system works on this small engine is under this cover is a flywheel. And that flywheel has a magnet on it that goes around and around with the flywheel. And when it goes past an ignition coil, that ignition coil sends a spark to the spark plug. So when the timing is all correct and that flywheel goes by, goes past the ignition coil, sends a spark to the spark plug, it fires the gas that's in the cylinder, and that's how your engine's running. When you turn the key switch, there is a wire that comes from the ignition coil to the key switch. When you turn this, it should go to ground. It grounds out that ignition coil and no longer sends that spark to the spark plug. It sends it to the ground, it sends it to the frame, and that's how it kills your engine. So ultimately, we need to get underneath this flywheel cover, which I think we have to take the top part off here, and then we'll be able to see if that wire got eaten up by mice or fell off or whatever happened to it. Okay, so now that we have better access to the back side of our key switch here, what I do is I got my meter and it's set on continuity to where if there's a path for electricity to flow, you'll hear it beep like that. So what I want to do is connect to one side of this key switch and then the other side where I believe it's broken off. Here, on this side. And then we'll operate this key switch. So right now there's no continuity. Other position, no continuity. No continuity. But if you noticed, if that key is in the halfway position, there's continuity. So the key switch is shot. And because we're looking to sell this thing, we don't want to keep this. If we kept this for our own, we would just know, hey, if I want to turn my engine off, turn your key switch halfway. So ultimately what we got to do to prove that when we ground out this wire, it shuts off the engine, I'll get an alligator clamp, stick it on here, we'll run the engine, and then I'll ground out that clamp on the frame and see if that kills the engine. If that's the case, then we either need to replace this key switch or see if we can take it apart and clean it up. Alright, to make it easier to pull start this thing, let's try to get this cover back on. Zip one screw on top. Okay. Let's attach. That's our alligator clip there. Then we'll ground it right on that muffler there. So let's see if we can get it to run. Choke on. Okay, so we know that works. We got to replace the key switch. See what I'm saying? Now this stud has a prong on it. I think this one, I don't know if that broke off over time. Looks pretty corroded. So I looked up this key switch online. And the back of it, that's how they're made. So I'm wondering if when you turn the switch, it's supposed to ground through the frame. So maybe there's a contact in there that's corroded up. some brake cleaner here. Maybe give that a couple good squirts. See if that can clean it up at all. Let's grab our meter and see if it's supposed to have continuity to the frame of it. So I'll connect my meter back to that tab. Okay. Nope. I'm still not getting continuity to it. So after we sprayed some cleaner in here, now we do have continuity to that other stud. So let's solder on a wire to that, and then we'll run that wire to ground, and that will fix our issue. Just going to hit it with a wire wheel so it's nice and cleaned up. It'll make it easier to solder onto. This will be a good size. You just want a little piece. Probably like that. Put it on there. Put it on here. On that part. I'm trying to figure out where we want to ground this to. So the next part of this is where to ground this wire to the frame, and there is a small screw here. It's on the cover of the pull start. I'm thinking I got this eyelet here that we can crimp that wire into. I think that'll fit in there good. So let's get the wires too. Get the wires too big, let's take some strands off like that. Put down. Watch again. Pull back and hold the eye on it. So that's our wire from the key switch. Okay, let's try this out. So we got this snowblower running and able to stop running. But before we get this little piggy to market to sell, we'll have to fix the seized up clutch cable. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you subscribe for part 2. Also, leave a comment on what you think we could sell this used thing for. Thanks for watching.